JKB back with another episode. Today, guys, I'm doing something pretty cool. Mattel asked me if I would want to unbox and review a whole slew of the first wave of Halo toys that are exclusive over at Toys R Us. I said absolutely, because at heart, I'm a collector. I love figurines, I love figures, action figures, all that stuff, but I realized it's also Christmas time, and maybe some of you have kids out there and you want to know if these figures are good for them, so I've decided to review them. So thank you to Mattel for sending them over to me. This is not a sponsored video. I'm not getting paid to do this, nothing like that. I do, however, get to keep the figures and play with them alone in my room. So thank you to Mattel for that. Let's get into the review. As you guys can see, Mattel went crazy, sent me over so many different things to unbox on the show and check out. I'm going to give my personal impressions of these toys, like the build quality, the articulation. Are they going to break if your son brings it to the park or brings it to his friend's house and they're smashing it into each other? How well are these toys created? That's what I'm going to go over. First, we're going to start with the Warthog and Master Chief set. Now, this right here, I have to say I'm very impressed with his visor. As you can see behind the visor, and that's a detail that they really didn't need to go into here on a toy such as this, because the Warthog itself is essentially a giant piece of plastic that has bendable parts if you're going to be smashing it into a wall, because I know that some collectors out there will want to pose it as you see on screen. However, I think that there's a lot of kids that love Halo out there, and this is why I wanted to cover it on the show, to say to the adults out there, this toy is definitely going to last if you're bringing it to school, bringing it to the park. It's built with quality. It's not cheap plastic. You can tell Master Chief is posable. You can have him kind of laid back like this, really cool, or you can put him into the gunner turret at the back of the truck. I gotta be honest with you guys, the articulation on this Master Chief that comes with the Warthog is very impressive, and I'm actually really impressed with the visor on Master Chief within the Warthog. But not only that, I mean, toys of this size usually aren't that good, but that was really well done. Now, the Ghost comes with an Elite. The Elite Soldier has a feature that I thought was so cool. I first realized that you could take off all of the armor. Now, as a kid, I gotta go back in time here and talk about something really quickly. As a kid, when I got like a G.I. Joe or any of those classic Star Wars toys, and it had like more parts that came off, or you can exchange them with other creatures within that universe from other toys, it was something special to me. And the fact that this character really has 29 points of articulation is impressive, but the fact that all of his armor comes off as well, and it's interchangeable with other characters within this line, is pretty cool. Now, the Ghost itself has a few points of articulation. The seat can be adjusted and the wing flaps, but as you can see here, you can really go into detail of taking off all of his armor. Now, one thing I wanted to point out would be that the armor does come off, and I find that to be really cool. Like I said, as a young kid, to have a toy like this would have been spectacular, to be able to take the armor off, and it's exchangeable to all of the other figures. So if you're using an Elite Soldier such as this, you can also use another Elite Soldier and switch the armor up, so the helmets might be different. You can get into some crazy situations like creating your own little stories. You can see on the back of this one, his armor fully customizable, so you could take off his shields on his legs, you could take his boots off, whatever you want to do. So this is the rest of the line that they sent over. All of the weapons from Halo are iconic. And what's really cool for me personally is seeing a ton of those iconic weapons within this set. I definitely want to point out that the Spartans themselves have the ability to switch armor. So if you're a young kid watching this, you can get into situations where, let's pretend Master Chief loses his armor on his legs. You can bring in another Spartan, like Spartan Locke, and use his actual armor from his legs on Master Chief's legs. And this is just, I'm talking about being a kid again, that magical feeling of creating your own adventure. That can actually be really cool with these figures, with the customization of the armor. I'm super happy with that. In terms of the details on these figures, I gotta be honest with you guys, very impressed with the weapons. Some of them have customized paint on them, scratches, scuff marks. I mean, they're not cheap toys, that's for sure. I have to kind of admit to you guys, though, the idea of the armor coming off and going on is so unique to these toys. I'm really happy with that. However, I feel like you got to be careful that you're not going to lose those parts. So if you're an adult out there and you're going to be buying these for your kid because they, you know, you guys play Halo together, be kind of mindful of the fact that this armor does sometimes fall off. Some of the parts do fall off kind of easy, and it is a little, you know, it's going to be sad if your son loses a piece of the armor, of course. But like I said, what's really cool is the armor's interchangeable between different Spartans and the Elites, and all of that stuff can be interchanged. And Master Chief here, gotta be honest with you guys, he has so many points of articulation. I was very happy with him as well. Let's go over the positives and the negatives of these toys. As a collector, I gotta be honest, these things, once you put them together with the armor on, put them on your shelf, even if you keep them in box, I have to be honest, they're pretty good for that. Now, if you're a collector, you're going to enjoy them in the box. However, if you're a young kid who's watching this review and you're asking your parents, you got to be mindful that the armor does come off. You can interchange it, which is a huge plus. However, when things like this come off, of course, it's very easy to lose those parts. So that's, I wouldn't say that's a huge negative because all toys can be lost, of course, but when you're playing with things like this and the armor is very important, you got to be careful with that stuff. So that's my overall review of this stuff. I would say if you're a huge fan of Halo, these toys are pretty awesome. If you're a kid out there, you're going to really enjoy all of these. Thank you so much to Mattel for sending all of this cool stuff over. I'm definitely going to be putting it up on my shelf on display. If you guys want to check out any of this stuff, I'll put a link in the underbar to all of the Halo merchandise they've released this Christmas season. And I highly suggest, if you're a Halo fan, to go check that stuff out. So once again, thank you to Toys R Us, Mattel, all you guys out there for watching. See you on the next episode.